Hey, what's up, y'all? So, this morning I woke up tweeting and shit, normal shit. I was tweeting how I started listening to rap. And it was ill because a lot of people don't know. For the knowledge that people perceive me to have, I'm a late bloomer. I started listening to hip hop real late. I grew up in a Hispanic household. I'm Dominican and Puerto Rican. You know what I mean? So, growing up, my mom's always had Tito Rojas, rest in peace, Mark Anthony, and things like that playing. Merengue, bachata, and that type of stuff was what ruled my household. The only trace of hip hop early in my life, and I'm talking, I was born in 87, so I want to say 94, 95. Only traces I seen of hip hop was my step pops, his collection of CDs. And my step pops, he was into Dr. Dre and the West Coast and shit like that. You know what I mean? So there was, of course, the Chronic was sitting there, Doggy Style was sitting there, the Lynch Mob, Gorillas in the Mist was sitting there, and a few Cypress Hill albums, and then there was the Wu-Tang album. The Wu-Tang Forever shit. I really gravitated towards the first three. So, Chronic, Doggy Style, and Gorillas in the Mist. I've always gravitated to. I tried to get into Cypress Hill. It really just isn't for me. And as a New Yorker, I feel embarrassed to say this sometimes. I never got into the Wu. I'm probably gonna go back and try again, but early on, it just didn't sit with me, you know what I mean? I was actually at a friend's house last night and we were listening to Wu-Tang, and shit sounded pretty dope, you know what I mean? But it still didn't capture me, you know what I mean, the way it captured everybody else. They're fucking legends. That's no disrespect to them, you know what I mean? They run the city. I want no smoke, you know what I mean? Just, everything isn't for everybody, but continuing on with the story. So I'm listening to this West Coast shit, and it's this, I don't even remember the year. I just know I was probably in elementary school when this was going on. So I'm not grown yet. My mind isn't all the way developed yet to where I could comprehend what is going on in a body of work or an album. So I'm listening to this shit and I'm loving it. You know what I mean? This is West Coast. Sound crazy, you know what I'm saying? All that. I always loved the West Coast sound, but I couldn't really understand the underlying theme of the albums just yet. Move along. I think it was 96 or 97. I feel like it was a year after Tupac died, because he died in 96. We took a road trip, my family, to, I forget where, I think it was Long Island or some shit. We lived in Dykeman. I grew up in Dykeman, so from Dykeman to Long Island is a long trip. So it felt like as a kid, nigga, you in the car for 1 or 2 hours, you feel like it's a whole day. So the whole time going to my sister's godfather's house, they were playing the Tupac tribute on High 97. And again, I'm loving what I'm hearing. You hear that West Coast sound, the Dre production, you know what I'm saying? You hear Tupac talking West Side, so I'm familiar. But now, Tupac is more complex than the Dr. Dre's, the Snoops, the Lynch Mob, the Cypress Hills, you know what I'm saying? He's more complex, and he's actually talking about, he has content, that's a little deeper. So, this confused me a little more, but I'm starting to get it a little bit, and I'm like, oh shit, so there's much more to this rap shit than just, you know what I'm saying? As we moved along, the Tupac shit, I'm like, yo, this shit is fire, this shit is fire. But I'm not understanding it fully, and this is not an album, this is a tribute, so I'm just hearing random Tupac tracks. Loved it the whole way. My mom's looking at me in the back seat like, what the fuck this nigga bopping his head for? That's not all music. My mom, man, my mom was a typical, she was a typical old school Hispanic mother, you know what I mean? Like, she ain't want me. She used to call it black music. She used to call rap black music and shit. And she used to get on my step-pops for liking the shit. All that changed when I started rapping, but let's keep the story flowing. Fast forward, we was at 97, now we at 99. I would say around 98, I got my first, like, boombox. Y'all remember them Iowa shits? Fucking big ass speakers, big ass centerpiece, and then they had the bass, fire shit. Niggas used to boom, boom, go crazy, put on the Hot 97. So now I'm listening to the radio, and it's like, you know, the radio easy to understand, so it's helping me, you know what I mean, get it a little bit. But I still always had the lust to listen to and understand an album in its entirety. So I remember before I got into albums, I had the Talk Boy from Home Alone, the shit he used to record people with, and he used to play with them and shit. I had that shit, and I used to record what I heard that I liked on the radio, and I used to run around as a little kid playing that shit in the hood. You know what I'm saying? That shit was fire. That was before I had my own, like, Walkman. You remember Walkman, the tape players and the CD players and shit. This is before that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have my own shit. We ain't had that much money either growing up. So it goes from that, and then one day I'm like, hold on, I keep hearing this nigga Jay-Z name, and you know what I mean, the hood, Jay-Z's the man, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, yo, that's that nigga. He just dropped Hard Knock Life last year, shit crazy, da-da-da-da-da. And as I'm listening to Hot 97, I keep hearing the commercial, Life and Times, S. Carter. And I was like, yo, Jay about to come out with another album. I'm about to listen to that shit. I couldn't wait. But again, I'm broke as hell. I ain't even got the money to go buy the shit physically in the store. So, and I ain't even know that was a thing. Like, this is how naive I was at that time. So, I knew the bootleg man, though. The bootleg man used to sell me the Hot 97 CDs. So, everything I liked on the radio was on the Hot 97 CDs. And that's how I got into, like, hip-hop, like, for the first time, where I was, like, consistently listening to it. So I went to the bootleg man to get my Hot 97 CD one time, and I noticed he had the volume 3 before it dropped. I said, oh, shit, nigga, I got the Jay-Z album, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I was hyped, you know what I mean? I'm a little kid, man. I got the album before it's about to drop. Hey, for the youngins listening, nigga, we ain't have leaks. We ain't have streaming back then. It was CDs and tapes. You know what I'm saying? And if you had the album before it dropped, you had to know somebody or you had to be in the streets to get it. You know what I'm saying? This is before you was able to download the shit on computers and shit like that. You know, like everybody had computers to do it. You know what I mean? It was an exclusive thing. Like you had to really know where to go or you had to know people to get the fucking the bootlegs. That's what they used to call them. So I'm running home with the volume 3 album, and I just never forget, man, when that shit dropped, it's like something just grabbed a hold of me. And for the first time, I started to understand an album. Had to listen to it a few times, you know what I mean? I was still young. I was born in 87. That album came out in like 99, 2000, if I'm not mistaken. I was still a little kid. So I'm listening to Hov, and I'm like, yo, this nigga's great. You know what I mean? I knew it back then, and since then, he's always been my favorite rapper. Like, since then, I just went back to the 80s and the late 70s when hip-hop first started. Grandmaster Flash, Melly Mel, and all of them. You know, Africa Bambaataa. I went back and I listened from when hip-hop started all the way to where I was in my life at that time. I made it my duty to do that. I listened to every artist that I could get my hands on, from KRS-One to Rakim, and then I moved on up. At that time, it was like G-Dep and Jay-Z, Nas, you know what I'm saying? And I haven't stopped, you know? Like, I'm really a student of the game on some crazy shit, you know? Like, I'm a fiend for this shit. I remember another key point in my hip-hop, like, life was when Nas beat Jay-Z in the battle. Now, remember, Jay-Z's my guy at this time. That is, you can't tell me shit about him. Like, you know what I mean? It's the rock. You know what I'm saying? I'm running around throwing the rock up. Motherfucking, when Jay lost to Nas and they announced it on Hot 97, bro, I almost cried, B. Because I was in denial just like every other Jay-Z fan. But you know what it did? It made me appreciate the other side of hip-hop. And that's when I started going back and listening and studying every kind of hip-hop artist. It made me realize it's not just a Jay-Z. It's not just the braggadocious niggas I was listening to on 197. It's fucking Nas's. It's niggas who talk about shit. And that brought me back to Tupac. And Tupac became one of my favorites after that. And so on and so on and so forth. I love this hip-hop shit. You know what I'm saying? And I remember like a few years ago, I used to come across as bitter because, you know, the essence is gone, yada, yada, yada. But I've learned to understand, you know, times change and nothing stays the same. The essence is still there. It's just a different face, you know. It's not our generation anymore. You know, it's the kids growing up. So if you my age or older, bro, like, just let these kids live. You know what I mean? Let them do what they do, because we were fighting the same fight that they're fighting against us when we was growing up. My uncle used to always tell me, yo, listen to this, listen to that, listen to this, listen to that. I'm like, nah, fuck out of here, I'm listening to Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? That's how they feel when we like, yo, listen to Jay-Z, listen to Big, listen to Pop. They like, fuck out of here, I'm listening to Young Thug, I'm listening to Future, I'm listening to Gunna and Lil Baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, I finally understand it. Hip-hop evolves, you know what I mean? And even though it might not become what you want it to become or evolve the way you want it to evolve, it's doing what it's supposed to do. And at the end of the day, I'm just happy to see hip-hop as such a global thing, you know, because, you know, since I started listening, it's been global, but it's just been expanding and expanding and expanding. It hasn't stopped. And I'm grateful for that, man. That shit put a lot of food on a lot of people's table that don't have shit. You know what I mean? Like, this is our shit. You know what I mean? And I love to see it flourish. You know what I mean? Don't ever get it twisted. You know what I mean? I might say a nigga album is whack here and there. You know what I mean? And I might have the old man bitter vibes or whatever here and there. But I'm very proud of what these kids are doing. You know what I'm saying? And let's not get off topic. I would love to know how you started listening to hip-hop or your favorite genre, whatever it was. I have another blog coming up about how I started listening to rock and roll when I got tired of hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? But let me know how you started listening to hip-hop. I hope you have a great, blessed day. Start of the week. Let's fucking get to it. Let's get this money. Let's make things happen. Let's get to it. I love y'all. Love hip-hop. Stay up. Be safe. If I don't see y'all before the New Year's, y'all be safe. Love y'all. Peace.